Hello, everyone. This is Doug Nelson, the president of Champaign Rotary. And with me today is Alvaro Hernandez, one of our members who just returned from Mexico. And I just wanted to talk to you, Alvaro, and hear more about your trip and more about the background, because what I heard was absolutely fascinating. I would love to hear more about the work that you do, because most people, myself included, don't know enough about what DNA sequencing really is. So if you don't mind, could you give us a little overview?
Absolutely. Yes. So I work at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where I am the director of the DNA Services Laboratory. In our lab, we sequence DNA. So every plant, every person, every animal, every bacteria has DNA. The DNA is a set of instructions that tell the body how to grow, how to stay healthy, and sometimes it tells us how they get sick.
Mm.
In our lab, we have instruments worth several millions of dollars that can sequence or read the entire DNA of hundreds of living things every day. That includes humans, animals like cows or dogs, plants like corn or trees, and also tiny bacteria and viruses that live around us and inside of us. When we read their DNA, we look for changes called mutations. Some mutations are really good. For example, they might make a plant grow faster or make a person more resistant to a disease. But
Yeah,
some mutations can cause problems, like making someone more likely to have a particular type of cancer.
I see.
Yeah, we also use DNA to understand what kind of organisms live in different environments. For example, if we take a sample of a soil or so from someone's gut, we can
Hmm.
use DNA sequencing to find out which microbes are living there, what are they doing, and how different, for example, different nutrition or different environmental conditions impact the composition of those microbial communities. And that has an effect on health, on farming, and also on the environment. So in
Wow.
short, DNA sequencing helps scientists to discover important information about how living things work, how they grow, and how we can help them uh, stay healthy. So last year, a group of Rotarians from different districts in the US, including 5 members of the Champaign Rotary, went down to the city of Guadalajara in central Mexico for a service project. The project consisted in setting up medical, dental, and vision clinics in schools located in underserved neighborhoods. That was in January last year, and we assisted almost 1,000 children and their parents, which of course had a huge impact on the community. Now, on the last day, we visited the Civil Hospital of Guadalajara. One of the local Rotary clubs had applied for a Rotary International grant to donate microscopes and a DNA sequencer to the hospital to help improve the diagnosis of cancer and other diseases. When they showed me the sequencer, the DNA sequencer, I said, "Oh, I actually work in DNA sequencing. That's my field of specialization. And I have the same machine in my lab." And that kicked off a great conversation. We started talking about the technology. I shared some technical information, and they got really curious about newer high throughput sequencing tools that can handle a lot more samples much faster. It turns out that the hospital holds a big annual medical conference, and they invited me to attend and to speak at the conference this year. Originally, when we started organizing it, it was supposed to be one talk, and then it turned into two talks, and then two talks and one discussion panel, and it ended up being two talks and three discussion panels. The conference is called International Conference on Advances in Medicine, CIAM in Spanish, Conferencia Internacional de Avances en Medicina. Around 7,000 people attended the conference, and it had over 1,000 tracks from surgery to different kinds of cancer and chronic diseases. And my track was part of the genomics medicine. One of my talks focused on how we sequence the entire genome of people and plants and animals and bacteria. So basically, how we read all of someone's DNA and what the technology can be used for, the applications for these technologies. The other talk was about how we run our sequencing facility in a way that pays for itself. without needing grant money or external money to stay open. I had extremely positive interactions with all the DNA sequencing team at the hospital. We exchanged a lot of technical information, as well as ideas for new services and strategies to improve the financial health of their facility. The way this started is Rotary had donated a microscope to help pathologists examine tissue samples and a DNA sequencer for spotting mutations linked to different cancers. The one they have is a few years old, and they are extremely grateful about the equipment because they are the only hospital in the entire region with that instrumentation.
Wow.
There is a newer version of that machine that can actually do both the sequencing as well as the data analysis on its own, which is a big deal because normally you need powerful computers and specialized people to handle that part. And now we are looking into ways to help them get access to this newer, more efficient technology.
That's so amazing. As you know, my wife and I and Andrea from our club also went to Guadalajara. I'm just amazed at how these connections begin to happen, right? That who knew? And this service project for helping school children and doing that would turn into something so much bigger. And that's the power of one-to-one connections and a person-to-person global network.
Absolutely, that's the way it was, and I thought our exchange was extremely positive, both ways. And I also learned a lot, how warm they are, how really, how much knowledge they have, but they need some resources, and also they need more people to exchange ideas and learn from bigger labs, let's say.
It's the true definition, right, of exchange. It's a bi-directional thing where both parties benefit, they learn from each other, and all of this for the greater good of the people of that region. And that's what matters, right?
Absolutely, yes, that's the way it is.
Yeah. Well, the work that you do is amazing, and it's just really cool that now that your expertise is making a difference in another country and for a lot of people. So very cool stuff.
Thank you, Dr.